G'day folks, Tracy Sheen, the Digital Guide with you. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. It's Monday here, I'm pumped. I've had my 2 coffees, I've watched the F1, I've been up all night. I'm here to talk about Google Analytics. Strap in. Be first, a little about me. So, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know, right? When I started in marketing, it was marketing, it wasn't even digital marketing. It was fax machines, it was mobile phones that were a security weapon. So I've been doing it that long. Over that period of time, I have seen things come and go. I've seen Apple be the pariah, I've seen PC be the messiah, and now it's kind of the other way around, at least in my universe. So these days, I run a digital marketing agency and I spend my time helping people just like you to understand the basic tech stuff that is needed to run a successful small business. Now, during the 30 years, I've been a presenter, I've been a copywriter, I've been well, you name it. I was kind of a millennial before it was cool to change jobs, let's just put it that way. For the last 10 years, I've had my own business, and these days, like I said, I spend most of my time doing this kind of stuff. So I present, I teach, I train, I do daily digital updates, and I help people understand what they need in their business to make it a little bit more fun. Speaking of fun, Google Analytics 101. All right, let's crack on. So a great little quote I want to talk to you about Google Analytics at the beginning, and forgive me, I'm going to have to read this one because I didn't have time to memorize it. The goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the person that did that, so hopefully you've got it on the screen now. But really that's what we're going to talk about is Google Analytics is all about understanding the data. If you get the data, you'll nail your marketing. Back in the day when I started, marketing was, a bit of this. Lick your finger, stick it in the air, hope for the best. What way was the wind blowing? No more, my friend. Figure out your data and you'll know exactly who your clients are, where they're coming from and what's going on. So let's kick off with Google Analytics. So at its core, Google Analytics is just a web analytics service. It's offered by Google, so you know it's going to give you the good stuff because it's pulling all the data that Google has on your site and on comparative sites and kind of letting you know where you're sitting and how you're tracking. And basically all it does is track some reports on your website data. So if you don't have Google Analytics, the first thing I'm going to say to you is go and Google Analytics. Hang in there, Google Analytics, that's a double Google, I get it. Google Analytics and download it and connect it to your website because you need a little bit of time, like a couple of months for you to start getting some good data. And you will see, I'm going to show you some of what that data looks like. So essentially, why you need Google Analytics, you can't change what you don't measure. With me? You can't change what you don't measure. If you don't know how many people are visiting your website, you can't fix it. If you don't know what pages are ranking on your website, you can't fix it. If you don't know how long people are spending on your website, you can't fix it. If you don't know how quickly they're bouncing off your website, you can't fix it. So you got what I'm saying? You can't change what you don't measure. So don't be afraid of the data, embrace the data. Data is your friend. Start figuring out what you need to know, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what are the metrics that you can measure, and what are the metrics that you should measure? Now, when I start working with people with Google Analytics, I see one of 2 things happen. People start getting really kind of data hungry and they start measuring everything. There's no need. There's a few really simple things that if you can get your head around, your marketing will become like a laser beam and you'll know exactly who you're talking to, how long you're talking to them for, where they're coming from, and you'll get really targeted with, what types of content and things that you need to put out to entice and embrace those people. So The metrics that you can measure and you should be measuring, how many people are visiting your website? All right, that's a biggie. Now, I'm not saying how many people should be visiting your website because, you know, I don't know you and I don't know your business, but you need to know that it's growing. You want more people to be coming to your website month on month. Now, if you were someone like LinkedIn, you're getting millions of views every day. And if you are someone like LinkedIn, hello, my name's Tracy and I'm available for, you know, correspondence directly. But I'm assuming you're a small business owner based around the Queensland region, in which case you may be getting, I don't know, a couple of dozen people, maybe you're getting a couple of hundred, maybe you're getting a couple of thousand. Whatever number you have right now, perfect. We want to grow it, but we need to know what that number is right now to be able to work with it. The next thing you want to know is how long are people staying on your website. Now, Google has this thing, and it's in their SEO, search engine optimization, which, you know, hang in there, we'll talk about that one on a different conversation, but they have this thing that they like called dwell time. And at its essence, that just means how long is someone hanging around your site. Google like people to spend about 3 minutes on a site. If they can hit that magic number, Google will recognize your site as a place of authority and they start pushing you up the rankings. So if you can start measuring how long people are visiting on your site and how long they're hanging around, guess what? You can start creating content. It might be videos, it might be blogs, it might be audio, it might be a mix of everything that's going to entice and engage people to spend longer looking at the pages and clicking through your website. So you need to know how long are they hanging around right now. What pages are your most popular? Now, I'm just going to tap in here for a second. Okay, your home page. I'm guessing your home page is your most popular page on your website, and that'll be the tracysheen.com.au. That's the first page they land on when they come to the website. Absolutely, hands down, I can pretty much guarantee that that is your most popular site, page on your site. After that, it'll probably be your about page because people want to know a little bit more about the company and the people that they're going to work with before they buy. If they haven't jumped off your site, the next one they'll go to is usually your services. So what are you offering? What packages do you offer? What services, what products do you offer? But again, you need to know what pages are driving the traffic for your site. You're seeing a bit of a kind of pattern building up here. The next one you want to know is, are people using desktops or mobiles or tablets? Okay, why? Well, good question. Thanks for asking. If they're on a mobile, you need to be thinking about the way that you're designing that site. You want a lot of white space so people can scroll through and it's easy to read and it's easy to navigate. If the majority of people are on your laptop, perhaps you can have something with a little bit wider vision to it. But Google love sites that are maximized for mobile first. So that means that it doesn't matter if any client is picking up a mobile phone, they can still view your site and they're getting all of the goodness, all of the information, and everything is super easy to read, super easy to navigate, and everything's looking beautiful. So are your clients coming to you from desktop, mobile, or tablet? That will help you drive some of the content. The geography of your website visitors. Now again, you're probably going, well, why is that important? I'll tell you why it's important. What if you're a jewellery designer in Moreton Bay and all of your traffic is coming from the Philippines? Are you shipping jewellery to the Philippines? Are you? Should you? See what I mean? So if you know that you're getting a big chunk of traffic from the US or the UK or the Philippines, perhaps either A, there's an untapped market there that you should be talking to, or B, you need to figure out why your content is being viewed in places that are irrelevant to your business. But if you don't know the data, you can't do anything about it. We can't measure it, we can't change it. All right, the last one you want to check is the loading speed of your site. Now, I don't know about you, but I have the patience of a gnat. So if I go to a website and I type in A1 Media and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and the site hasn't loaded, chances are I've jumped off. Now, A1 Media is a super quick site, so you want to go check it out. But if your website is not loading within 5 seconds, you've lost them. So you need to know how quickly your site is loading, not just from a desktop or a laptop, but from a mobile as well. So again, we can't change what we don't measure. So you want to make sure, A, you've got Google Analytics connected to your site. Super important. Google Analytics is what we're talking about today, right? But then you want to make sure when you're starting to look at your data, what am I going to track? Well, I want to track how many people are visiting my website. I want to track how long they're hanging around once they're there. I want to track what are my most popular pages. I want to track whether they're coming from a desktop, from a mobile, from a tablet. I want to track where they're coming from in geography, and I want to track how quickly my site is loading. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the number of visitors that you're getting to your site. Now, just like magic, you should have a slide on your screen that is showing you an example of what this will look like. Now, you can see that you want that nice rise in the traffic. You're going to be looking at the number of users. You're going to be looking at the number of new users. So what Google's looking for there, and I'm not going to get technical, but it's the IP address, right? It's like the address of your laptop or your mobile phone. That Google knows everything, so shh, they're listening. But you need to know, are they new people coming to your website or are they returning clients? Because guess what? You want a bit of both, right? You want to know that you have an engaged tribe that are referring your website to potential new clients or to their friends going, hey, I just worked with this amazing film producer in Moreton Bay. You need to speak to these guys. A1 Media, slight plug, but that's okay. So you need to know, is that coming from a client that's already working with you, or is that coming from someone brand new that you can start to track and entice and maybe incentivize even your clients that are sending you repeat business? You're going to have a look at how many sessions they're looking at. Now, Google did this amazing piece of research in 2011 called the 0 moment of truth. Now, hang in with me while I geek out a little bit because it is kind of cool. It's called ZMOT, and if you've got nothing better to do with your time over a coffee, I highly suggest that you Google it and have a look at it. 0 moment of truth. What they figured out is this. 7, 11, 4, 3 magic numbers. It takes people about 7 hours, 11 pieces of content across 4 platforms before they'll spend money with you in a B2B business. 7 hours, 11 pieces of content, 4 platforms. So, if I put a blog out on a website and it takes you 3 minutes to read that blog, that goes towards my 7 hours of content. It's also going to go towards one of the sessions on my website. They then look at listen to a podcast, they hear about me spoken about in a network event. It all builds towards that 7, 11, 4. 4 platforms, just think about that like a website, social media, podcast, video, networking event. 4 different platforms, and there are so many different platforms now that, it's just ridiculous. But 7, 11, 4, right? They're the magic numbers. You've got to kind of etch that into your brain, because when you're starting to get familiar with your data, by taking a really quick look at this magic screen, you're going to see that, okay, I can kind of get it now. I'm getting this many people turn up, this many are repeat clients, and they're looking at this many pages per session. Now, the other really neat thing that this particular slide is going to tell you is how many pages, how many pages they're visiting per visit to your website. Now, why is this important? It goes back to dwell time. Do you remember the dwell time we talked about a couple of minutes ago? The 3-minute magic number that Google's looking for of hanging around on a website. So if you can see that people are watching roughly 2 to 3 pages, you can kind of do a quick bit of maths that, okay, if they're spending 30 to 60 seconds per page, you know, you're not quite, or you're just at that 3-minute stage. So ideally you want to have it well above the 3-minute, so you're getting that authority tick from Google to say this site is developing really good content. All right, the other one that's going to show up on this screen that you need to know about is your bounce rate. Now, bounce rate is important for different industries for different reasons. Essentially what a bounce rate means is how quickly do I land on your page and then bounce off. Now, where this is important is if they're landing on a page and they're grabbing your phone number or your email or a contact us form and they're bouncing off, it's probably okay because they're reaching out to make contact with you. If they're bouncing onto your page because, you know, your site looks like someone else that they thought they were going for, then you just want to make sure that you're getting that bounce rate number down. But too kind of wishy-washy to be talking about in a 101 as to what number you want to be aiming for, because really, man, every industry is so different when it comes to bounce rates. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is how long are people staying on your site. So remember we talked about that magic number, that 3-minute, that dwell time. How are we going to get people to spend more time on our website? Well, this is where you've got to know your clients, because are they young, are they old, are they male, are they female? Everybody wants different sorts of content. So when you're designing or when you're working on or when you're kind of looking at your Google Analytics and you're starting to work a little more on your website, start to think about different ways and different types of content that you could be putting on there that's going to help you hit and exceed that 3-minute number. Just like kids, here's a tip, adults all like to learn in different ways. I love audio. I love listening to podcasts, but if I listen to an audiobook, I fall asleep. I love to read a book, but I love to listen to podcasts. I'll only watch a video if I'm trying to keep my cat amused. So, you know, think about your audience and think about designing different sorts of content that's going to hit the different kinds of learning styles. So you've got stuff on there that people can read. You've got some good images. Maybe you've got some infographics. Maybe you've got some audio files. Maybe you've got some video. You want to be able to produce and show your content in a way that is enticing for your clients. Now, I'm not saying generate a whole bunch of different content. I'm talking about taking the one piece of content and creating it in a variety of different ways. I'm getting off topic now. All right, so how long are people staying on your site? 3 minutes is the magic number. Again, we've got this magic. Don't you love the power of magic? See, I snap my fingers and slides appear. So what we're looking at now is our sessions. So again, how long are people hanging around? Really important to know this, because if you can crack that 3-minute number, you'll start to notice that your site is getting a little bit of a bump along in terms of organic rankings from Google. So that is if somebody searches tourism operator, Moreton Bay, fish and chips, Moreton Bay, then your site is going to appear higher than some of your other competitors, not counting for the ads, because, you know, they're paying to play. All right, so what pages are driving the traffic? Now, again, like that? I love that click. That's the power. It's just, I'm a little bit power. Okay, so you'll see on the screen here that it's telling us what pages are directing the traffic. So I know where I'm likely to spend my time adding more content. All right, it's kind of loop in the background now. You kind of see, once you get the hang of the data, how it all kind of feeds in together, and it's a bit of a wibbly wobbly timeline, and that's a Doctor Who reference that you probably don't need to know. Okay, so you're going from looking at how many page views you're getting to each of your pages So again, you can kind of go, okay, so they're landing on my homepage, they're spending 2 minutes. What happens if I put a video on there? Is that going to get them to the magic 3 minutes? Or they're going to my about page, but they're jumping off in 30 seconds. So do I need a team video on there? Or do I need some audio on there? Or do I need to remove Margaret from HR? Because as soon as people see her, she just everybody's got a Margaret from HR, right? If you're Margaret from HR, I'm sorry. It's probably Jane from finance. So again, get to know your pages because that will drive and tell you where to be creating the content and what types of content to be creating so people are hanging around. We're trying to get them to stay in our little bubble, COVID-safe bubble, in our bubble as long as we possibly can. All right, so we talked about the desktop, mobile or tablet before. So one of the slides that you'll see on your Google Analytics is where the traffic is coming from, whether it's from the desktop, the mobile or the tablet. Now, unless you have a huge swing of people that are just looking at you from a laptop, always consider designing everything for your website mobile first. The whole reason I'm saying that is because Google love mobile first designs. If somebody can pick up their phone and access your site and see everything they need, read everything they need, watch everything they need, get all of the information that they need from a mobile, then Google will give you a huge, huge tick for that. So always consider making your site mobile friendly. I cannot stress that enough. I'm going to say it again, mobile friendly. It needs to be mobile friendly. That is friendly to a mobile. That is make sure that it's working well on your phone. Okay, good. So you need to know where your people are coming from. Is it a laptop? Is it a desktop? Is it mobile? Is it tablet? But always design it with mobile first in mind. Now, here's another sneaky little trick. If you know this, it's going to help you to start to design some email content. And I'm going to cross-pollinate here. Go watch the Email Marketing 101 thing because, you know, they kind of all work together like a Rubik. That's my Rubik's Cube, in case you're wondering. Again, another 80s reference. Okay, so laptop, mobile, tablet, just get to know where your audience is coming from so you can design content to suit those people. That's my point. All right, now, what do you do with all that data? So let's go back to the start. You can't change what you don't measure. The reason you're collecting this data is so you can improve your site, so you can make it a nicer experience for your clients, so you understand where they're coming from, so you know where geographically they're coming from, so you can start to build in additional data and additional content that suits your audience. So here's an example I prepared earlier of what a Google Analytics account looks like. So at its very core, this is what your home screen will look like. And if you can get familiar with this site, even if this is where you start, and I suggest this is where you start, this will be a really good indicator for you to kind of watch the number of users and all those things we talked about before. So at the very, very core, my challenge to you is this. Download Google Analytics if you don't already have it. It is relatively simple to connect, so my suggestion would be to, make friends with your local web developer if you don't already have one, and ask them to connect it if you're not comfortable with doing that yourself. And then start to monitor the information that is coming through. You should always be looking to improve in one area, whether it's more people visiting the website, whether it's more people hanging around on the website. My suggestion is challenge yourself to get your people to hang around longer on your site first. If you can get them doing that, then you'll find that they begin to refer other people to you. So you then are getting new clients visiting your website, etc. But connect Google Analytics and just sit down with a coffee, give yourself 15, 20 minutes, no more, because otherwise it's just going to go into overwhelm, and just have a look through the home screen. Just get familiar with what information is available to you, so you can go back right to the start where we talked about what do we need to measure, and you can start to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more. So hopefully it wasn't that daunting. Google Analytics, it's fun, right? It's like Cuisinart rods for grown-ups. Have fun with it. Google Analytics 101. Look, my details are on the end of the screen there, so if you do have any questions, reach out. I also suggest you check out Google Garage, as in not carport, garage. They have some amazing courses on there that are all free and run by Google on how to understand analytics a little bit more. But start basic. Get it connected, start understanding your data. Have a great day. I've been Tracy Sheen, the Digital Guide. You've been you. Thank you. We'll talk soon.